So now let's see what are the business use cases and what are the different applications where RNN has been used to implement some applications, right? So let's go through some of those applications where in many different apps, many different industries, they are using RNN for various different applications. Okay, so let's begin with one of the primary application area, which is the area of price forecasting. Okay, so wherever your forecasting is needed, you essentially have the time sequence data, right? You have to make a decision based upon what has happened previously and use that as a basis to predict what is going to be happening in the future. So price forecasting is essentially predicting the price, future price of a commodity, product or service by evaluating various factors like its characteristics, demand, seasonal trends, and what has happened in the past with respect to the price itself. Okay, so if you take into account all of that, you fall into this price forecasting, and this is a big domain where RNN has been recently used in last decade or so to do amazing apps. Okay, so here are some of the things that people are doing. So predict electricity prices. So now electricity could be dependent upon multiple different factors like weather, what is your location, what is the season that you have, how your neighborhood, who else is using the electricity and so on. And depending upon that, there is a concept of basically, this flexible electricity pricing coming into, many different countries, where what you need to do is you do not need to pay a fixed price per unit. Depending upon which time and what you are using, you can dynamically adjust the price of electricity. Okay, but not only what the usage is currently, electricity price is also depend upon other seasonal trends, right? Whether it's winter or whether it's summer, depending upon different location where you are, how many people are in your neighborhood and so on, or how many people are in the city, they all go into determining this price, right? So predicting dynamically the price of electricity that you can charge to a customer is one application where a lot of users of any forecasting algorithm that is there, and RNNs are a very good ones to use for forecasting problems. Flight and hotel price prediction, and I will deal with this one in more details going forward. So again, when you're traveling, right, you have to book a flight or you have to book a hotel. Now they have seats open or the rooms open depending upon the current situation, depending upon something happening in that city or not, right? Let's say if you have an IPL match, typically, there will be a lot of people traveling, so the hotels and the flights will be booked and so on, right? So those factors determine what is the current situation, and you can use all the factor and also what has happened, previously with respect to the prices and what the prices of the competitors you have. You need to be, flexible, and you need to be doing a dynamic pricing. And nowadays you can see that everyone has implemented this dynamic pricing, right? So this dynamic pricing, if you want to forecast what could be the price that is there, then that's a great application where you can use recurrent neural networks. Okay, so hotel and flight prediction, that is one. Real estate, right? Here in US, in Australia, there are websites which are using price forecasting algorithms to predict what could be the current value of your home. And that depends upon several different factors. For example, it might depend upon the school district that you have, the neighborhood or the locality that you have, what is the surrounding prices of the recent home that has sold in your neighborhood, okay, and various which city you are there. And those are the different factors that you want to take and then dynamically predict what is going to be the price, current price. And again, recently one of the companies here, Zillow, and I will talk about that company in a little bit, essentially used its price forecasting algorithm to buy houses from consumers. He said, like, our algorithm is predicting this. If you like this price, we will be able to buy your house and we will be able to give you cash, right? And so, people are using this kind of price forecasting, which are essentially a very good class of problems for RNN type of architecture. If you have large class of data, which some of these websites and some of these the companies have, then they can probably use a very modified version of RNN to do this price forecasting. Stock market, again, is very good where you want to predict the future price of stock depending upon different factors that is there, economic factors, what is the previous history, the current quarter performance, and so on. You can use those factors to do price forecasting in stock market. So let's take some specific example. in the business use case and what are the apps and what are the different things that people have built using a price forecasting algorithm. So again, here is a website which is known as Fairboom. Okay, so Fairboom is essentially a website. What it does is you can download their app and you can provide the input where you are going, and depending upon that, it will basically tell you for aggregate price of different airlines that what could be the long-term forecast of the price. So if you're planning, right, if I have to go from London to New York, maybe in 10 days from now, you will need some sort of forecasting algorithm. Now they do this training with a large scale data set that they have collected through their vendors and other things, the ticket that has been purchased, what is the current fares that they are getting, right, from different websites. And based upon that, what we do is they have a previous history or the historical data that is there. Okay, then they also have other attributes, what is the current situation and what is happening, and use that to predict what could be the price in future. So let's say if you're trying to buy something on July 14th, what could be the price on, let's say, in August 18th. So they are predicting that August 18th it will be maybe 572, and this allows you to plan what if you have a flexibility, right, then you can use this to adjust and buy depending upon what has been predicted by this algorithm. You can use and make an informed decision that what is a good time to buy. For example, if I buy somewhere on September 1, the prices are going to be lower than 572. If I buy here, this is a good time to buy because the prices are supposed to increase in the future. So again, this type of apps are essentially using an RNN type of architecture to do the price forecasting. And what is their business? People will use this information to do their planning, but once they have planned, they will essentially use, they will basically use their list of suggested airlines that is there, and they will click that airline and they will buy the tickets on that airline, and Fairboom will basically make a percentage for referring that customer, right? So this is like travel aggregation website like Kayak, Fairboom. They basically where people can simultaneously compare different flights together, and once they click the link, they essentially send them to the original flight location, and they get basically paid from those those original airlines itself, right, for referring the customers that are. So that is their business model. But what is driving their business? They're driving the business is essentially this idea of what can happen to the price, and this is bringing the customers to their website where they can see this price forecasting algorithm that will help them in making the decision, and that's the value that they are providing to the customer, which is essentially run by a recurrent neural network type of architecture that is there, that is doing this forecasting. But once that is done, they can refer them as a customer to other airlines, and that's how they essentially make their money. Okay. Here is another website which exactly does the same thing. This is known as Hopper. Hopper is another web app where basically they are predicting what is the current low price that we have, and then they will also give you this price prediction that over the 8 months it will cost you $73 more to wait. Okay, the probable prices will rise $60 after 6 months. So this gives you this nuggets of information that you can use to book your ticket or do the planning when you are traveling and so on. If you want to save, is this good time to buy? Shall I wait? Those are different questions, but you do not have access to data and you do not know how to make that decision. But what these websites are doing, they are using the price prediction forecasting types of algorithm by collecting a lot of data from different constituents and then using them in this model to give you some informed values that you can use to make decisions. Okay, so this is where in flights and other and again, and the same thing also happens for the hotel industry. Depending upon how many the rooms have sold and other things, there is a continuous dynamic pricing, and there are a lot of web apps that also gives you similar price forecasting for booking hotels and so on. Here is Google Flights. Google also has its own forecasting algorithm. So again, Google also makes money by referring different customers, and they also have this forecasting algorithm. So the prices for your dates are there, and that is less than usual. So they are forecasting that it's a lower price, maybe you should buy now. Okay? And so this tip is essentially suggested by a forecasting algorithm that is displayed to the user to help him make an informed decision whether he should buy a ticket right now or not. Okay, so again, there are a lot of different apps which are using this price forecasting type of algorithm, and this is for flight, this is for home, but you can think about any commodity or any service that you want to have, and if you want to do a forecasting of that price, right, you can use very similar algorithm, and underlying this, there are multiple different ones that you can use for this, but majority of this, if you have access to large scale data set, then they will typically fall into the category of RNNs.